Hey everybody, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. Today we're going to be using the grammar pattern that is just dake de after a noun or a verb to mean just with noun or just by verbing. And dake is a word that we've actually covered before as far as I can remember, and it simply means just or only. And previously we used it subsequently after noun words to just mean just noun. Now we're going to take it one step further and it's going to come out to mean just with noun, or in this case we're also going to be using verbs potentially, so that can just be just by verbing. And so really the grammar construction that we have here is going to just be noun or plain form of a verb followed by the phrasing dake de plus the rest of the sentence to convey whatever you're trying to say with the nuance of just with noun or just by verbing. And so with nouns, it should be intuitive enough. We don't have to go into any explanation, but for verbs, there is that, of course, nuance of having to have the verb be in a plain form. And we should know what the plain form suggests. It's an umbrella term for a number of various other conjugations, such as the dictionary form, the ta form, and so on. So what we'll do now is we'll cover a couple of example sentences using first off this grammar pattern with nouns, then subsequently this grammar pattern with verbs. So let's see what we have for our first example sentence. Our line is この機械は nejimawashi dake de tsukureru. And what this line will translate to is just basically this machine or this gadget is buildable with just a screwdriver. Or alternatively, you can put this machine together with just a screwdriver. So let's break down the sentence bit by bit. First up we have kono, which is going to mean this, of course. It's going to be modifying the word right after it, which is kikai, and this is going to translate to basically machine or gadget or apparatus. We're going to mark kikai with the particle wa to make it the topic of the sentence. And following that, we have now our grammar pattern, and we're going to be using it with a noun, and the noun that we're using is nejimawashi, and this is going to translate to screwdriver. So we're going to succeed screwdriver with the phrasing dake de. Dake means just or only, and de is going to be kind of like an instrument marker. So that becomes just with screwdriver, and now we complete our sentence. What is just with screwdriver? Well, tsukureru. And tsukureru is going to be the potential form of the verb tsukuru, which means to create, to build. And now we've reached the end of our sentence, so let's put it all together. And once again, we have この機械は nejimawashi dake de tsukureru. And this is going to be, you can build this machine, this gadget, with just a screwdriver. So that should be simple enough. We're just adding the phrasing dake de right after a noun to mean just with noun, and then we complete our sentence to convey what is possible or what is just with noun. So now let's move into using this grammar pattern with verbs, which is slightly more difficult, but still not very difficult at all. So for our next example sentence, we have the line 彼女は自分で勉強しただけでいい成績を取った. And this is going to translate to basically, she got a good grade just by studying by herself. So let's break down the sentence bit by bit. First up, we have 彼女. This is going to mean girl, she, or her. It's going to be the topic of the sentence here. That's why we're going to mark it with the particle wa right after. So 彼女は. Then we have jibun de, and the word jibun is going to mean basically yourself or oneself, and we have the particle de right after that to make it kind of an instrument marker, so by yourself, by oneself. And now we're going to employ our grammar pattern here, but we're going to employ it with a verb this time around, and more specifically it's going to be a verbal noun. So we have benkyou suru, the verbal noun that means to study. We have benkyou, then we're going to conjugate the suru in benkyou suru to its plain past form, so it becomes shita, and we're going to need it to be in this past form, and we're going to need it to be plain because that's the necessity of the grammar pattern here. So since it's in its plain form, we can use the grammar pattern, so we add dake there right after benkyou shita, so just by studying is what this is going to translate to. And now we complete the sentence. What happened from her just studying by herself? Well,いい成績を取った. And the word seiseki is going to be the noun for grade. We have I describing it, so good grade, and I means good, so good grade basically. We have the particle o to mark seiseki as the direct object, and our verb is totta, which is the past plain form of the verb toru, which means to take, but more specifically in this context, it means to get in respect to a grade, to get a good grade. So altogether, once again, 彼女は自分で勉強しただけでいい成績を取った is going to be, she got a good grade just by studying by herself. Or perhaps better worded, she got a good grade just by studying on her own. Now we're going to go through our last example sentence. Since this is a relatively easy grammar pattern, 3 should be sufficient. Come to think of it, the sentence that I literally just uttered is perfectly conveyable in this grammar pattern actually. So maybe as a practice exercise, you should try to translate the sentence I just said into Japanese and put it in the comments below or something like that. Okay, back to the example sentence that I've actually prepared for this lesson. We have the line, ichimai no pizza o chumon suru dake de jubun da. And so what this example sentence is going to translate to is ordering just one pizza is enough or sufficient. So let's break down this sentence bit by bit. First up, we have the word ichimai, and this is going to be a compound word. Basically, it's the word ichi, which means one, and mai, which is the counter for flat objects in Japanese, in the Japanese language. And so the flat object that we're counting is, of course, pizza, which is going to be pizza. And we have the noun of a noun modification going on here with the particle no, so ichimai no pizza is going to be one pizza, basically. Right after that, we have the direct object marker o, which is going to be marking the one pizza as the direct object of the sentence. And then the verb that we have is the verbal noun chumon suru, which means to order. And so this time we're going to keep the suru in the verbal noun in its present tense. It's still plain, so we can use the grammar pattern. So we're going to do just that, and we add dake de right after suru. So chumon suru dake de is going to be just ordering pizza, basically. Or in this case, just ordering one pizza. And now we complete the sentence by saying what the deal is with just by ordering one pizza, and what we have is just simplistically jibun da. And jibun is basically going to translate to enough, and then da is the sentence ender, so basically altogether this is going to translate to ordering just one pizza is enough. And so you might be wondering why in this example, unlike the previous two, we don't follow the completion of a sentence with another basically verb clause. We just have a simple line, jibun da, and well, this is actually a pretty common occurrence for this grammar pattern. We commonly use the word jibun or e after the grammar pattern to just mean doing just that, or just that is fine or is enough. And so that's a pretty common expression, so try to ingrain that into your mind. It'll make things easier when you're talking with people in Japanese and you'll know what they're saying. And with that, our lesson comes to a close basically. So using a noun or a verb in its plain form with the phrasing dake de to just mean just noun or just by verbing. And yeah, the 3 examples that we went through hopefully give you an idea of the kind of things you're trying to say when you use this grammar pattern, and the grammar behind it should be simple enough for you to just naturally thrust it out when you need to use it. So yeah, that's this lesson. Stay tuned for the next one and the next one after that and all of the hundreds and hundreds that will come.